You answer messages immediately. You help even when you're exhausted. You show up for people, even when no one shows up for you. And strangely, part of you feels proud of that. But another part of you quietly wonders something uncomfortable. If people stopped needing you, would they still keep you in their life? This question sits quietly in the background of many relationships, and most people never realize how much it shapes their behavior. Because sometimes, being helpful isn't just kindness. Sometimes it becomes something else. You become the reliable one, the problem solver, the emotional support system, the person everyone calls when things fall apart. At first, it feels meaningful. You feel important, useful, valued. But, slowly, something strange starts happening. You begin saying yes automatically, even when you're tired. You listen to everyone's problems, but rarely talk about your own. You become the strong one, the one who doesn't need much. And over time, your identity starts forming around one quiet belief. My value comes from being useful. Psychologists sometimes call this conditional self-worth. Your brain links your worth to a specific behavior: helping, fixing, supporting, and when that behavior stops, your sense of value feels unstable. That's why doing nothing can suddenly feel uncomfortable. Because if you're not helping someone, who are you? Here's the important part. This pattern didn't appear randomly. Your brain didn't create it by accident. It learned it. For many people, being needed once meant safety. Maybe when you were younger, you noticed something subtle. When you helped, people were warmer. When you were useful, people stayed close. Your brain recorded that pattern. Usefulness equals connection, and connection is one of the brain's deepest survival needs. So the strategy made sense. It worked. But strategies that once protected you can quietly turn into identities, and identities are much harder to question. Your brain runs on reinforcement. Every time someone says, "I don't know what I'd do without you," your brain releases a small amount of dopamine. Not the intense dopamine of excitement, but the quieter kind tied to social approval. Never time, the brain starts associating helping with emotional reward. This creates what psychologists call a reinforcement loop: action, approval, reward. Then the brain starts seeking the loop again. Simple way to imagine it is this. Your brain installs a mental app called Worth Checks Usefulness, and the app runs quietly in the background. Whenever someone needs help, the app activates. Solve the problem. Feel valuable. Ignore the problem. Feel uneasy. So even when you're tired, the brain nudges you toward the same behavior. Not because you want to suffer, but because the brain believes this is how belonging works. And once the pattern forms, it can become strangely addictive. Breaking. This pattern doesn't mean becoming selfish. It means separating care from identity. Here are 4 psychological shifts that help. Notice the automatic yes. The first step is awareness. Your brain often says yes before you consciously decide. This happens because habits move into the basal ganglia, the brain's automatic behavior system. So pause. When someone asks for help, give yourself a small delay. Example: instead of saying yes immediately, say, "Let me check and get back to you." This interrupts the habit loop and moves the decision back into the prefrontal cortex, where conscious choice lives. Separate kindness from worth. Helping someone should be an action, not a definition of who you are. Your brain merges these two when reinforcement repeats for years. So start reminding yourself, I can care about people without proving my value. Example: you listen to a friend vent, but you don't immediately fix their problem. You simply listen. This retrains the brain to associate connection with presence, not just usefulness. Allow small disappointments. Your brain fears one thing: rejection. That's why saying no feels dangerous. But psychologically, relationships grow stronger when they survive small disappointments. Example: you decline helping someone move because you're exhausted. They feel slightly disappointed, but the relationship continues. Each time this happens, your brain learns something new. Connection doesn't disappear when you stop performing. Build identity. Outside usefulness, if usefulness is your only source of worth, the brain will cling to it. So create new identity signals. Things that have nothing to do with helping. Example: you spend an evening learning something new, or walking alone, or creating something small. These experiences activate intrinsic reward systems, the kind of satisfaction that doesn't depend on anyone else's reaction. And slowly, your brain begins expanding its definition of who you are. Integration: think of your identity like a table. For a long time, maybe it had only one leg, being needed. And when a table stands on one leg, it becomes unstable. Every relationship, every request, every problem carries too much weight. But when you add more legs, curiosity, rest, creativity, independence, the table stabilizes. Helping others becomes something you do, not something you must do to exist. Quiet, empowering, close. Being someone who cares is not a weakness, it's a strength. But care becomes heavy when your existence depends on it. You don't need to disappear inside other people's needs to deserve connection. The strange truth is this: the relationships that matter most are the ones that remain even when you stop trying to earn your place. And sometimes, the moment you stop proving your worth is the moment you finally begin to feel it.